I want to talk with all of you about the options that you have when it comes to negotiating something. Something that negotiation is one of those things that all of us do it. We're all engaged in trying to get what we want or what's right for the client or a win-win. You've heard the term win-win situation where everybody in it actually gets to win something. If that's achieved, that's great. Um, but at the end of the day, I want to show you and I want you to reflect on the times in your career or in your life where you might have said, um, I will absolutely not take that no matter what. I'm not going to take this deal with somebody, or I'm not going to, it could be something simple that I would never go back to that place for dinner again. We're never going to go over there. And lo and behold, somehow, under the right circumstances, you ended up at that exact same place for dinner. Or you're doing something that you thought that you would never actually do. And in many cases, you're doing it cheerfully. Again, this is not about cramming something down someone's throat. I think that the decision-making process happens, um, depending upon a complex set of circumstances. It doesn't have to happen. What you might say no to today is not going to be no tomorrow. And I think it's very, very important for us to see that. Also, how many of you have actually worked with a client where you just know today's not the day to ask that guy that question? Anyone? Does this resonate? Nod wildly if it does, maybe. Okay, Terry's not only nodding, but he's rubbing his beard there. So yeah, you know, depending upon the circumstances when you speak to someone, it's your job as an agent to try and figure out what the best possible circumstances are to be able to make that work. Daniel, our producer, you got everyone a copy of the workbook?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and for those of you that might not have gotten it, he's going to put that back into the chat for everyone to download. And if you want, you could also send your email address. So you could just send Daniel a direct message, and he'll make sure to get you on our folders. So that's it, Terry. Since you're the only one I could see, so I figured I might as well pick on you. Right here. Give me a circumstance. You were nodding before where you might have had someone say never, but the circumstance had changed or your perspective had changed, where something was going to be an absolute no suddenly became kind of you weren't expecting the question. So if you can't figure out an exact example, let's just talk it through here. But I'm just curious. Anything?
Um, that is such a good question, Edmund.
Well,
I wish I'd had more coffee at this point.
it's important. You gotta fuel up.
Well, a circumstance that I am aware of is that uh, difficult negotiations between family negotiations as to who is going to take over the title of the house.
Okay.
The let's just call him the father because that's who it was only going to take $1 million in this particular settlement.
Okay.
Well, if he took $1 million, then the people on the other side would get like a pittance. So it was decided yes, it's my family, okay?
Actually, I didn't even figure that out at that point, but it's that
My Freudian slip was showing there. My we came out. We very pointedly pointed out to Dad that there isn't enough money to go around. If you want some money, then you have to agree to take less. Otherwise, you get nothing.
Sure.
And that reality set in, and we had to go back and decide exactly who was going to get what, blah 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 blah, from the sale of the family property. But it was not a fun place to be.
Okay. Was it
But the
resolved?
reality is, if you want something, you have to compromise.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and I throw this out to you or Rich. It's good to see Rich. it could be anyone here, or Mark Lawrence. I think you could probably chime in on this as well. Is it always about the money when it comes to negotiation on property? Okay. So
Absolutely not.
absolutely not good. Oh, you see, I knew that. I knew I'd bring up the money, and Mark was going to be, oh, absolutely not. What's that, Mark? Give me some of the things that the clients, or that you. First of all, you can tell everyone who you are and where you are, and tell us, what you mean by absolutely not.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mark Lawrence in New York, not city on Long Island, but longtime native of New York City, and have been an agent and now active the last 18 years in the real estate title insurance space and escrow services, settlement services. And I started my career as an attorney. So with respect to negotiation, I'll mention that because a big part of being an attorney is being a good negotiator. And as Ed was saying, right, it's not selling homes, right? You think you put out a price, and that really that's it's drawing people who have interest, and then negotiating about the money, but actually one of the best strategies I think is to take the conversation away from money. When it's about money, people tend to dig in, and want to win every penny. I mean, I always have said, in selling homes that the number that people pay is really, or the number they agree on to purchase is not the money that they pay. Obviously, you have to break it down, to monthly cost and stuff like that. People will lose homes over, over $20 a month, that it would be different. So, and again, I think also people make decisions based upon emotion and based upon, sometimes that emotion can be perceived winning the financial battle. But, at the end of the day, when you're selling homes, it's not a numbers game. Commercial real estate's more of a numbers game, and people decide based upon numbers. When you're selling a home, it's about feeling, it's about, God, sorry.
Okay, no. So let me break it down a little further so
Mhm.
everybody. You pay $1 million for a house. Are you paying $1 million, or are you paying more? That's the hint. You're paying more. You got closing costs, you got other things. If you're receiving $1 million for the house, are you receiving $1 million, or are you receiving less? Okay. So automatically, and I'm saying this now, especially in the age of all these screwed up commission discussions that we have to have, that people don't seem to understand. So let me throw something else out to you. I'm going to ask Rich this. Rich, good to see you, Rich. The question that I've got for you is, you got someone who's going to buy a home. Let's call it a $2 million home. It's a $2 million home. You got two different buyers that are willing to go there. Both are willing to pay $2 million. One has, okay, I just had to mute that guy out. One has a both are willing to pay pretty close. One is going to pay $2 million cash. The other one is going to pay $2 million, but with an 80% loan to value mortgage. Who's the more valuable buyer at that point?
Cash buyer.
Yeah. Okay. How
Based
much
on
more?
that.
If that cash buyer was 1.9 and the guy with the mortgage was 2, in other words, depending upon the
You're saying
client, how
everything else
important
is
is
equal.
what?
Everything else on the contracts are
Okay,
equal.
but for now, good question. Is everything else equal? I'm trying to
I
go to
mean,
all the
settlement
non-monetary
fees,
stuff.
et cetera. Okay. Um, it's a great question. And how important is it that your client, you're representing the seller, how important is it that that seller gets to the closing table? Or, how badly does he need the money? What is his exit strategy? Is he going to be buying something else that he has to settle on? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it in the background that'll determine, and it's not black and white. So, it's
Sure.
a lot of gray.
Okay, so can you throw out some other not? We mentioned you were the one who just said it. That's one thing, all things being equal. What other things could influence the price of a home? What other things can influence the negotiation?
the settlement date, inspection contingencies, uh, assessment, appraisals on the home. Are they entering into it? I mentioned home inspections. Florida is much different, but up here, the sky's the limit with what you can come back with. Um, I think Florida is more a finite number, and then I guess you have to get to negotiations. I'm not
In
sure,
Florida,
but
you could decide you don't like the color if it's within the time frame and walk away from the deal. You could just suddenly
that's
say,
great. But,
yeah,
and up here, they're, things are so tight that you don't even have inspections. They waive all contingencies, and they'll say it's all cash. And then meanwhile, they have the cash on paper, okay, but they never anticipated that they would have a problem getting a mortgage. And then what do you do? Okay, what happens if you're representing the buyer and he's got $100,000 down and he runs the risk of losing it because he can't get the financing.
sure. What about law of supply and demand? As of this morning, there were 12 homes for sale in my community of 728 beautiful houses. I want to sell every one of them, just like any of you would. But there's 12 of them. So how much does the rarity come into play?
Well, it's huge.
Huge.
It's
Huge.
huge. Okay. And I guess it's tight down in Florida also. Um,
Well, it's
but
tight here. I mean, I know the other side of Florida is not as tight, but it's very tight here. There's certain communities that have pockets of incredible, packed.
well, percentage wise, I see homes going 30-40% over what the asking price was. I mean, it's insane. It's silly money, but guess what? That's what it's worth to that person. So I guess it's not silly money if that's what
Sure.
that person wants to pay.
Sure. Okay. So we have, if there's anything that you could walk away from with this meeting, is I really want you to get a handle on the non-monetary things that you could bring to the table when it comes to a negotiation. There's a term called BATNA, BATNA. Let me just go to my list. This is the workbook. Oops, somewhere around here is the workbook. How's the work? Here we go. So all of you should have this. If not, just ask Daniel to send it to you. And one of the things that we talk about in here is BATNA, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This is going to be your fallback. This is going to be the thing that you're going to say is, all else when now you'll hear the clients say this all the time. I want 3 million for the house. By the way, this is a real scenario right now, but I'll take 2.4. Okay, estate sale here, a brother and a sister, adult parents are now passed on. What does that say to me? It says that in their minds, they're looking at 1.2 each. Does anyone sound familiar to anyone? Has anyone done an estate type of thing? Okay, now you know what you're actually dealing with. What is the best alternative to negotiate agreement? What other things might be able to go into this in this workbook? If you could start to fill this out, you should go through this exercise in everything. And Rich, if you didn't get this, just send Daniel an email and he'll email you this attachment. But I really want you to take a strong look at that. Again, the only thing I want all of you to do with this is to stop and think through. You don't necessarily have to become a world-class negotiator. You can you can become better and you can get a better and stronger position in where you are going to be. So first things first, what does the client truly want? What is the value of time? Who wants to throw time in on this? Right now, I've got somebody who says to me, Ed, I'd like to sell end of season. Where are my Floridians? Where are my Floridians who know about season? There might be a couple of you here. Feel free to chime in on this. It might not be the best idea to sell after Easter or Passover, right? It might be better when you have a variety of people that are actually down here. What else? Let's talk about some of this stuff. What other stuff? Because what it comes down to is you're going to have a buyer or a seller who's going to give you these absolutes. And I want you to take from this that there is no real absolute, that people will change their position when they were absolutely dug in saying no. You also need to have a certain amount of tools in your toolkit to be able to get them to yes, to be able to stop and think through where is, how elastic is this? How many times have you felt the need to give in your commission? I wish Rafi Bass was here. He's brilliant at not paying off commission. Oh, look at Terry. Terry gets all emotional here. Terry, your nostrils are flaring. What so
Okay,
Terry,
I will tell you my best negotiation story. At the closing table, well, at the walkthrough, there was a different light fixture in the dining room, but ugly, replacing an equally but ugly light fixture that was there before. My buyers were like, we wanted that original chandelier. And it was never told to us that it was going to be replaced. There has to be a working light fixture there. So they did replace it, but they didn't tell us that the chandelier that was shown every time we saw it was going to be replaced. So this was ultimately going to bring down the sale. A chandelier, a cheap OMG, so ugly chandelier, but everything means something to somebody. So the amount of money it would take to buy a similar one would be, it was suggested that it be taken out of my commission to pay for that.
Hmm.
And I said, well, now, no.
Good.
I was not a part of the conversation to have it be replaced. I have worked equally hard as anyone else sitting around this table. I am not going to be the one who has to compromise. How about this? How about everyone who's getting paid on this deal? Chip in equally, attorneys, looking at you. And, well, we have a set fee. I said, so do I. It's in a contract, just like yours.
Sure.
Do you want this to close? And the sellers and the buyers are looking at their attorney like, what's that going? I mean, and it was cheap. It was, I mean, in other circumstances, perhaps I would have, but this is not the point. The fact that everybody turned to me at the closing table as though I'm the one who's supposed to give this up. No. So, attorney, everybody chip in $100 and we can close the deal.
Yeah. Okay. Listen,
Is $100 going to kill you, attorneys? I mean, it's not going to kill me either, but it's the point. So
I don't think any of you should have paid it. I mean,
well, I agree. I feel like the sellers should have paid this. They didn't tell anybody that they were doing this, but they dug in their heels as well. So that is the compromise that I.
What is it in New York? If the original fixture has to I know that a fixture
No,
is part of the real estate.
There has to be a fixture, a working fixture in place.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And it would have been fine, except my buyers loved the old chandelier. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, but listen, we're going to get that. We're going to have this situation where I had a black and white television set that the buyer, who was just a sociopath. I mean, the guy was just such a fucking asshole. Sorry, guys, but he really was. I mean, the guy was just the worst. And he wanted that television set, this old black and white set that the wife had won in some office thing in the 70s or 80s. I mean, this is just like, okay, great. Now, like Terry, I'll buy you a TV set. No, I want that one, because he knew it hurt them. That was what this guy actually was. I mean, he really was digging in. In any case, we lost the deal. We lost the deal. This was before it went under contract. The guy would not, and I'm absolutely convinced that this guy would have done this, but everybody was standing on principle. And it was early on in my career. And I was pissed. I was pissed because it just doesn't make any sense. All things being normal, let's just be normal. Let's not start with this nonsense.
I can pick up Grandma Boston.
But again, Vivette, was that you're chiming in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at the airport. I didn't realize I was on mute. Sorry.
That's always flying somewhere. Okay.
Sorry.
I want Yvette's frequent flyer miles. She's
I really
always
do.
at the
It's
airport.
always in a plane. The woman is always somewhere. Rich,
No, we're
Yeah,
Remember, I
isn't
told you my niece made me a companion for a year, so I'm taking
Oh,
advantage of
that's
that
right.
without
That's
paying.
right. You got your companion
uh,
ticket. That's why she's yeah. So, Rich,
I mean, the TV, it's an inclusion or if they included it, but it's an
they
exclusion.
didn't. They didn't. This was it was a little off here because we were still negotiating the contract. We would have had this thing done, but that
Okay.
was what he must have. So, the first things first, when you go into a deal, try and make an exhaustive list of all the non-monetary things that could go into this. Time is big. Time for inspection is huge. Actual deposit money is huge. These are things that a lot of people say, well, we want 15 days to inspect. It's like, come on, guys. I could get a home. If Terry wanted to buy a home, I could have the inspector in there tomorrow, and I could get the results by tomorrow afternoon, Friday, the latest. Maybe not for mold because it has to grow in a culture. Maybe that's by Monday. But we don't need 2 weeks to inspect. We don't. So one of the things that I say to my buyers is it's a non-monetary thing that makes your offer so much better. But I've had that buyer that said, well, I'm going to get an 80% loan to value. Well, I want 15 days to inspect. Well, I want all this stuff in here. Well. Whoa. Let's talk about making you as a package a little bit more valuable. And that's the kind of thinking that you really need to start putting into all of your deals. Who else has come into a situation? Guys, this is open for anyone to chime in on. Good, bad, or ugly. I'm very curious to hear what you might have experienced in some of your um, deals, because if you haven't really thought this through, the time to answer a question is not when it's asked. 85% of the questions that you get, these questions, the answers to these questions, or you could certainly look them up. So to try and go in as a sharp antenna, I don't know how much of the book talks about that, but I'll tell you what I'm talking about, to really work so hard to anticipate where the downfall is. What's the negative on the unit that you're selling? Who's had a crap unit that you had to sell? If you've worked, all of us have had dogs. All of us have had dogs. So what exactly do you point out when something is not all that desirable, aside from the fact that it gets a ton of light? Every realtor talks about how much light comes, flooded with light, light. Bring your toothbrush, flooded with light. Who's got something? To Eddie Glance, I'm going to pick on you. Greg, I'm going to pick on you. I'm not going to leave you guys unscathed here. Rich, I'm going to pick on you. Amando, pick on you. Who's got something? It's a tough crowd. Everyone's shy today. Okay. What I'm really trying to get from all of you are the circumstances that you've actually found yourself in. Greg, are you here or what? Greg Coggins doesn't want to unmute. Okay. Do I smell?
No, I'm here. I just couldn't figure out how to unmute.
Okay, good. Greg, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Greg Coggins in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. So, and you've recently merged your business, yes?
I did. It's still in process, but yeah.
Okay, good for you. How's that going?
Really well. I'm excited.
Good. In the process of merging, were there any and again, I don't want to meddle too far into your personal business here, but where did you see from either that or other experiences were stumbling points in the negotiation process?
Oh, silly stuff.
Okay, tell us about
silly stuff. Team name.
Team name. I love it.
Yeah. You think it's silly, and you think I would be the one that would recognize it's silly and give in. But I recognize it's silly. I want them to give in.
Okay. So what, you wanted your name on the team?
No. In order to sell the team, I don't think anybody should put their name on it. I'm going to retire here in a few years, and if I want to sell it, if it's got my name on it, then it's branded to me and difficult for somebody else to use. So no, I was looking for something very regionalized, and unique, and short, sweet, easy to remember. The other folks do want a name involved, and then if that's not the case, they want something that's too long to put on a sign.
Okay. So, and what happened? Well, give us the outcome.
I will when we get there.
Oh, okay. So you're still there. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we're still working it. I'm a big believer. I'm sorry, I was kind of in and out as you were talking, but I am a lover of. Now I'm going to forget the name of the book. Oh, never split the difference.
Never split the difference. Yes, Chris Voss.
Yep. Great book. If people haven't read it, they should.
Okay. Yeah, Daniel's on it. He's getting the Amazon. I could see it in his face. Never split the difference, Daniel. You could look that up. Okay,
and it really goes into what you just said a minute ago about being prepared. Before you even walk into a negotiation or get on a phone call where you're going to be negotiating, you should go through it and be prepared. But if people haven't heard about it, the premise of the whole book is if you're negotiating for somebody's life, this guy used to be a hostage negotiator. If you're negotiating with somebody's life, how do you split the difference? It's just, you shouldn't ever. You should always basically get what you're after. It's just how you go after it.
Sure. And so were there other things in the negotiation that came up that you could share with us? Or not? I mean, again, I don't want to pry too much into your personal business here.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of simple stuff, and that's usually what it is. We were just talking about a TV. Come on, I'll buy you a TV. So it's simple stuff. Where's the office? Which office are we going to use? Yeah, just simple stuff. How are we going to split the use of the assistant, and how is the assistant to be compensated? So all stuff that we can resolve.
And I'm sure you will. Let me ask you this, or throw this out to anyone. Have you dealt with either an estate with feuding siblings or a divorce with feuding former lovers, former marriage? Anyone had that? And that's an interesting circumstance. So, okay, my suggestion for going in on the divorce, if you're a man and you're going in on a married straight couple that's getting divorced, get some estrogen on your team and vice versa. In other words, you've got to, one of the things, I wish Tinka was here right now. She worked very well with the soon-to-be ex-wife, and I worked pretty well with the soon-to-be ex-husband. It matters. There's a balance of power that's going on sometimes in the dynamic of a family. Same thing with estates. I just did a deal with where there were 4 siblings. One of them was clearly dominant, and like to prove that in some of the meetings that we actually had. I made a special point of calling the most passive siblings right after we spoke with them. And I said, yeah, you know what? I want to hear more about your idea. And nobody is heard anymore, guys. So if you actually spend a little time, just a few more minutes, actually speaking to the people to try and hear what they had to say, it's going to put you in an incredible position from a negotiation standpoint. The reality is, again, it's going way beyond the money. Don't get me wrong, you can't do that. I had another situation. Woman, she's Greek, makes no more than a $3 million bid on a home in East Boca Raton. And the owner was Greek. That's why I mentioned that she's Greek. And they had that whole little Greek banter back and forth. She saw some Greek memorabilia around the house, and she was able to, really hit it off with this guy. He took her bid over $100,000 bid that was higher. Again, all things being equal, Rich, it was cash. It was, let's say, 10 days, 11 days inspection, something, very comparable to the other one. Both had dug in. She really couldn't go any higher. He took $100,000 less. Why? Because he thought the other guy was a jerk and he liked her more. It happens, guys. I know you might say, wow, $100,000, that's a lot of money to me. Is that a lot of money to you? That's a lot of money to me. But sometimes the reputation that you have within the group and within the people that you're talking to, they're going to favor you. So don't think that there's not a value. Once again, you got $1 million property, you're not going to be able to buy it for $100,000. That's not what this is about. But it is about trying to put you in the best possible light so that you could be able to succeed in the process. Let me just take a look at a couple of the other things. Please, please, please. We do talk about never split the difference techniques in the workbook. If you haven't gotten the workbook, please put your email address here or send Daniel a request to send it to you, because I want you to split the time and spend some time actually learning all this. Let me give you a couple of magic words for you to consider. First of all, it's rephrasing. If somebody actually says that they want the television set, the furniture, and all of this other stuff, you could rephrase the question or rephrase the thing and say, so what you really mean to say is, if you received all of this furniture and all of this, this would be an accepted offer. Is that correct? You need to force the answer out of them. So let me say it again, because Terry's looking interested here. You know, if you're speaking to someone and they're saying, well, I need this, this, and that, get all the bad news out at once. Find out specifically what that person really, really wants, and then rephrase all that to the person who's made the request. You want the bed, you want the television set, you want to pay no more than X, and you want to close in all of this. Based on all of this, if I could get all of that for you, do we have a deal? If the answer is no, then you got more work to do. If the answer is yes, you got to figure out a way to really remind them that they were making that as their premise. So just think about this. You know, one of the mistakes that I made, I'll tell you a mistake I made this week. We have a list of things that the buyer wants fixed in the unit. And he said, oh, could we go inside and just take a look at some of those things? I should have fucking said no. I should have said no. Why? Because we got in there. Well, yeah, it would be great if we could get the doorbell fixed. Thank God it was just the doorbell. Thank God it was just the doorbell. We knew that it was the doorbell that needed to be fixed. We knew all of these other things. I don't know why the guy was suddenly hung up on the doorbell. I don't think he knows why he was hung up on the doorbell. But I'm not going to blow a damn deal over a doorbell. These things happen. A black and white TV that probably didn't work, a doorbell. There's things that can mess you up. Guys, I never want you to lose a deal again to something as stupid as a doorbell, because these things are extremely fixable. In fact, a great closing gift is the Ring doorbell for people. And to have it installed and done up, it's a wonderful gift if people want that kind of thing. Especially, you know, in my community, some of the older ladies, the widows that get put, oh my God, he was such a nice young man. He got me a doorbell. I could see my grandkids when they come over through the door. You know, they loved it. I got a doorbell for somebody. Who knew what joy a doorbell could bring? And by the way, when they see it every day, they think of you. So it's something to consider. Okay, before we get to wants, needs, and brags, anything else on this? I really have to stress that if all of you take the time, some other magic words. Lose from your vocabulary the word but, B-U-T. Write that down. Very, very important point, and I don't want to gloss over it. Let me start with Daniel. I'm going to use you as an example here. Daniel, you're fabulous. You're wonderful. I've enjoyed working with you for well over 4 years, but you really could have done a better job on the workbook. And it really was something that, you know, didn't make me too happy. Okay, listen to this one. Daniel, you're fabulous. You're wonderful. It's been a great 4 years working with you. And if you work on the workbooks a little bit differently and bring it to, it's going to make you even better. I replaced the word but with the word and. No, start to do this. This is a big one, guys. I've learned this over and over and over again. As soon as you lose the word but is so deflating to someone in their conversation. It really is. It's a huge letdown. And in almost all circumstances, you can replace it with the word and. You've communicated the same thing. Unless your goal is to make them squirm. And by the way, I'm all for it. If you really want to do that, knock yourself out. But if you really want to make true headway, the number one thing you got to do is keep them engaged and keep them in the conversation. Livette, I saw you had your hand up for a second, I think.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what was the alternative, because however is not any better.
Yeah,
Hear me?
Yeah, say that again instead of just say it one more time.
Oh, no, I was going to ask you what was the alternative, because however is not better.
However, it's a little bit better, but I would say and if you could use the word and in place of but, that would be great.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
just it's the simplest thing that you could do. Everyone's always looking for a little magic bullet. That's one of them. Here's the other
Yeah.
thing. Go in anticipating what the issues are. Make an exhaustive list. And we know that money is going to be an issue. What else is going to be an issue? What else happened in front of the place? Is today garbage day? Today's Wednesday. It is garbage day here at my country club. There's Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is not the day, at least at this particular time, to show something. It just isn't. You just don't want that. I try and avoid that. So make a list of all the do's and don'ts that you're going to be able to do. And Daniel, thank you for putting up the Ring doorbell. The guy's funny. I like that. Make an exhaustive list and it will work. Send Daniel a message. Terry, was that something? Okay. Send Daniel your email address. He will get you the workbook. Take some time to think through what it is that you want to communicate and where you're going to go and take stock in all of your assets. That's the best advice that I could give you. Daniel, look up when's our next meeting? He's looking it up. He wasn't expecting it. But Daniel, you're great, but you shouldn't have done that. Sorry. Anything? He's still looking? Okay, Daniel's going to come up with that in a second. Just chime in when you what is this? Advanced Client Relationship Management. Okay, so we got this. That's going to be on the 30th, a little Halloween fun. I don't think I'm going to be in an outfit, but maybe I'll wear a witch's hat or something, or Warlock's hat, whatever it is. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to get the list of meetings out for the month of November. Every month we have 6 meetings. We tend to have 4 on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. and 2 on Fridays at 12 noon, all Eastern Standard Time. And from there, you're going to be able to decide what topics. We're going to take a big focus on AI, as we already have. Breaking news today about Claude. Claude is an advanced LLM similar to ChatGPT. And if anybody wants to chat about these changes, we do have a meeting at least once a month with all the updates that I'm finding out about AI and how you could actually use it in your business. We are very quickly coming upon a time where we're going to be able to automate so many more tasks as I am right now. I want all of you to be able to take advantage of that. All the technophobes that would never touch that meeting is for you. If you don't like it, you don't want it, you don't like the direction the world is going in, cry me a river, but it's happening. And we need to find a way to actually work through it. Okay, wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you'd like to brag about. I had 2 closings last week, and I've got 2 more next month, and hopefully more after that. I'm a happy camper. That's my brag. That's how you brag. Who else?
I have to. I've taken a list for the last 3 weeks, and I have been coming up on Thursday.
Larger electronic devices such as laptops must be
Sorry,
either
Rebecca.
underneath the front of you or
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Are you trying to speak, or is that just background noise?
I was trying to speak, but since you can't hear me, I'll go on mute.
Okay, thanks. So if the quiet's down there, I do want to hear from you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there. Randy, hey, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Hey, I'm Randy Harbin. I'm in Joplin, Missouri. Kind of a brag. We were able to close on a divorce situation house last Friday. And boy, was it a messy one, but we did get it closed last Friday. And also last Friday, I passed my Arkansas real estate exam. So I will soon be licensed in Missouri and Arkansas, looking towards getting the 4 states. So now a dual state agent.
Good for you. Good for I'm if that's helping, and Daniel's giving you some applause there. That's good. No, that's Randy. That's great. Great stuff. Got to celebrate all the victories within all of that, and I'm glad that. So the divorce, you actually closed. You got paid. Maybe.
Yes, we got paid. It was so many things about this one was just crazy.
Okay.
So, I mean, even to the point that the seller did not want the funds paying off his um, home equity loan. He wanted to get all the money and pay it back on his time. Well, he sold the house. So, of course, the bank said, we want our money first. So,
Sure.
the seller was just a very difficult individual. And, but yes, we got paid and life is good. And my buyers are thrilled. And so, good for everybody.
Great. We love it. Okay. And it's evidence if it could be done once, it could be done many, many times. Guys, remember that. We're coming into the end of this year. I can't believe we're about to hit 2025. Uh, you've got certain goals that you want to achieve. I want to close 2 more deals. Nicole, make note of that. She's on my team. I want to close 2 other deals before the end of this year that is not currently under contract. So that's something that, what's today, October 23rd? It's possible. You could do it. We could get it done. In 2 weeks or so, we're going to stop talking that way, though. We're going to start talking about what are we doing to gear up for 2025. And we will, Daniel, remind me of that as well, have a special business planning session in the month of November for what to actually anticipate, expect, what to be able to do to build the business. Okay, anyone else wants, needs, and brags? Guys, I'm giving you a free opportunity to plug yourself. You can tell everyone I don't have anything to say, but if you want to pay me money or send me a buyer, Terry.
I want everyone on this Zoom call to come to the event I'm throwing this evening, Real Estate and Design. This will be at the Tom Kane Theater in Industry City in Brooklyn. We've gotten all the big design houses, ABC Carpet, Restoration Hardware, Design Within Reach, lots of other folks whose names I can't remember right now, to be there and to present their wares. This is so that real estate agents who need to stage apartments, decorators, or developers who need insights onto what their lobbies and hallways and such can look like, can form these relationships for further business on down the line. So tonight from 6 to 8 p.m., the invitation is on the Rain Nation page. It is, yes, Edmund, I do learn. This is hopefully going to be an annual thing. There will be food, there will be drink. All I need and want is you. Hope to see you there.
Love that. Very, and Terry is very famous for his singing and famous for his events, and all of that is great. Who else? We got time for 1 or 2 more. Anyone? Ferris Bueller? Anyone see Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Rich did. Anyone? Okay, guys. Look, so the next meeting is next Wednesday. Again, if you want to meet with me, do let me know. If you want or have any topics that you want us to thoroughly research and put together, we do put a lot of time in. Daniel, I want to always thank you. You work so hard at making these meetings great, and he's always available to all of you. So if you want to meet other people in the network, or if you've got questions or want to make an appointment with me, Daniel at Bogen Homes, he's put his address into that a bunch of times. And with that said, Terry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, when Terry says that, it makes me want to say, I'm really glad I see all of you today. It sure was fun having you here, and I look forward to seeing all of you next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another exciting episode of
Rain Nation.
Mazel Tov. We love that. Thank you, Terry. Thank you all for coming, and I really hope to see all of you real soon. Take care.
Have a great day.